Welcome to Bridging the Gap to Connections, the talk show, where we begin by sharing your stories and spotlighting your shine. Hello, welcome back to Bridging the Gap to Connections. Today, I have the honor and privilege to speak with someone that I know you all are going to be quite interested in. Her name is Karol Brown. Karol Brown Jones is a seasoned health educator, storyteller, and community leader with more than 40 years of experience as a registered dietitian. She holds a master's degree in public health and has dedicated her life to showing others how food can be a pathway to healing, wellness, and wholeness. Her work blends science, spirituality, and love, inspiring people to care for both body and soul. As the founder of Harriet Tubman's 3LC, Love, Leadership, and Legacy Coaching, Karol combines her professional expertise with her passion for empowerment and self-love. She is the author of several books, including her newest release, Get On Board, the New Underground Railroad. Harriet Tubman's spirit is guiding us to love in actions. This work is a call to action, reminding us that love is the key to transformation and that it always begins with self-love. Karol is also a professional storyteller, portrayer of Harriet Tubman, bringing history to life while teaching lessons of courage, resilience, and faith. Through her classes, workshops, and community programs, she inspires audiences to use food as medicine, live with purpose, and embrace love in action as a guiding principle for health and life. Without any further ado, let me go ahead and bring Karol on up. Thank you, Karol, for being here and bringing the education that you do. Welcome.
Well, thank you, Darla, for having me and giving me an opportunity to share a little bit about what I do in my books. And yes, self-love, that's my mantra.
I completely relate. I do a lot in self love as well. So that is one of our grounding points where you and I really have connected. And I think it's just a beautiful thing that we both do. So, Karol, can you tell us a little bit about how you've come to the place of writing a book from Harriet Tubman's point of view?
Well, actually, in my new book, I'm just going to talk about it right away. Get on board the new Underground Railroad. Harriet Tubman's spirit is guiding us to love and action. It's a very little small book. I did that purposely because I want people to read it. It's partly a memoir. So I have been feeling like I needed to share my personal stories. I'm good at telling Harriet Tubman stories and have been, but to bring mine in was new. So I've been telling Harriet Tubman's story professionally since let's see, 2000. Year 2000 when I first started touring it. I actually developed the program a little earlier than that. And so I was active at my job back then. Diversity was very recommended and encouraged on a government position. And I was the coordinator for the African American employees and the Equal Opportunity Committee. And we did things like we worked together. We had a committee person for each of the different population, diverse population, and women as well. And so this year I was preparing for Black History Month, and I watched the movie with Cicely Tyson playing Harriet Tubman. And that just sparked something in me to say, wow, I need to research Harriet Tubman because there was something in there that I didn't know about. And once I started researching her, I just found out there was a whole lot of things I didn't know about her. And I'm sure most people don't. So I was also active in Toastmasters, the profession, the speaking group. And so at Toastmasters, we was doing storytelling, and I developed a little short presentation as Harriet Tubman. And that was the beginning. It just led to me expanding the stories. My husband at the time, James, and I traveled all over the state. He sang Negro spirituals, and I told stories as the elderly Harriet Tubman. That's one thing that's different about my presentation. There's a lot of people doing Harriet Tubman, but I don't just focus on her time as in the Underground Railroad. As the elderly Harriet Tubman, who she lived to be 92 years old, I can reflect on her whole life, and it was all rich and full of lessons. So that's how I got started.
I actually really love what you're saying right there. Here you are, you have taken a spin on this. And I love what you said. You didn't just take it from her story point of each part, but from a elderly part of her, the latter years of her life and her experience, you gave her the life and continued that story. I love how you did that. What was the spark that created that when you were doing that in Toastmasters? How did you come up with that spin?
Well, again, reading her book, and the book that has most of the information about Harriet Tubman that everyone has used as their primary resource was written by Sarah Bradford, who actually interviewed Harriet Tubman in her later years and in her 80s. And so that book, and me being close to my grandmother, I just used my grandmother's sayings and the feel of her love to become the elderly Harriet Tubman, who I know had the same type. Now, Harriet didn't have any children. She didn't wasn't a grandmother, but she was a community grandmother. She was Auntie Harriet up in Auburn, New York, where she lived uh, after this slavery. Um, and so, bringing my grandmother, and Harriet together, it made it easy to relay the love and compassion that I'm sure that she would have had. And then to find out she was a storyteller. Harriet Tubman was a storyteller. She was on the abolitionist route to go to conventions and homes. Rich white men would sit and listen to Harriet Tubman educate them about what slavery really was like. She and Frederick Douglass would be there, and they would listen. She couldn't read or write, but she could listen and ask questions. And so she learned from these men who were newspaper editors and writers and doctors and attorneys, and she started learning about the Constitution and what the government was said that were rights, and she knew all the time that she had the right to her freedom. And then to learn that it was actually written somewhere, well, that was just more energy for her to do what she did, to be a part of the change for other people's lives. And she also was introduced by Frederick Douglass to John Brown, and she was planning his raid with him. I guess God didn't want her to be there because she was sick and wasn't able to be there. But see, so much people don't know about Harriet Tubman that I said, this lady has a lot to teach us about love, servant leadership, and how to leave a legacy. And that's what I teach on my books from Harriet.
So here you are. So now that you've taken that and you've used this opportunity to share from what you've learned from Harriet Tubman and your experience of history learning from doing the plays, doing the different things, making sure that you're really honoring her character. What did you learn about yourself along that way?
I learned that I'm a teacher, which I always did love teaching, and that I had little acting skills, and I enjoyed it being around people. I really liked when the children asked questions and in character. I can make them feel like they're actually sitting and visiting with Harriet Tubman and Harriet, and that I could bring in a little comedy and make it fun for them to learn. And that just was just to me, it was the perfect atmosphere for not just teaching a little history, but teaching social emotional learning. Basically, my books also teach social emotional learning. We're talking about community, we're talking about family, we're talking about um, self love, and how we all can help each other and coming together. Because the Underground Railroad is one thing I tell them, it was not a real train on a track. That didn't exist. It was people. And that's what I bring back up in this new Underground Railroad. It's all about people stepping up and stepping out to help other people, because that's what we're here to do. And when you go inside and you listen to your heart, that is all around love, you realize that there is something that you should be doing. If there's something that's disturbing you, that you know is not right. And so that's what the new Underground Railroad is. It's taken from what it actually was. Harriet was a conductor. So she was one of the people that would actually come back and bring people up forward. She depended heavily on the station masters, the people along the way, and that was all kind of people. It was free black people, free black people, it was enslaved black people, it was white people, it was Native Americans. All of us was working together because those are the people that knew that this was slavery was wrong. No one deserved to be a slave or owned by anyone else, and they're going to do their part to make a difference for the lives of somebody. And that's what this is all about. That's what my whole concept of teaching is all about. And this new book to me is taking it beyond the book level and into the movement of getting people actively doing something in actions in love and actions. That's what I say throughout the book. Love in actions with the S on the end, because I say, and my sister is uh, teaches English, and there's a lot of people who say you don't need that S on the end of action. I say I do, because I'm not talking about one action. I'm talking about everything you do should be out of love. Love in your actions, your words, your deeds, the way you spend your money. That's where this concept comes from.
What an exciting adventure you're going to be taking people on. How can they find your book?
Well, it's going to Amazon. It's there now. My book launch is Wednesday, November the 12th, 5 p.m. If any Pacific time. Everyone's welcome. Um, it's on Amazon. I do have a bookstore as well online, but right now I'm still getting that set up. So I've just sent people to Amazon, and you can look up my name in there. I just pull up all my books by saying books by Karol with a K, Brown Jones. So Jones is new. I just remarried. in July. I'm a newlywed.
Congratulations.
So thank you. I hyphenate the number because I have been using Brown as professional name for many, many years. And so yes, if they just put in Carol with a K, V Brown Jones books, all my books will be pulled up. And I can share those books too. My very first book is 30 Lessons in Love, Leadership, and Legacy from Harriet Tubman. And this book, this is actually the workbook. Each of these books have workbooks. The workbook is so that my new book doesn't yet, but the workbook gives you places to really think about the prompts and answer the questions. And actually, I happen to just have workbooks next year. And the other book is The Harriet Tubman Way, The Inspirational Guide to Self-Love, Empowerment, and Legendary Leadership for Girls. And again, it goes through the stories, but it gives you a journal to actually think about it. So I'm a teacher at heart. My books are all about not just reading it, but thinking about what is prompting you to think about and actually writing it down and reflection on your thoughts.
Well, I know that you have an opportunity for other people. I know that I found you also through another network called Diva. However, afterwards, I got introduced to a TEDx talk that you did. Can you share a little bit about that, what people could find if they go and look for you on that and be able to watch what they're going to, what was your message in that TEDx?
Let's, I keep going back to my new book because my new book is all about synchronicities and the synchronicities that led me to writing this book. And I start out with the name Lisa Nichols. Some people may know Lisa Nichols and go back to the movie The Secret. She was the one African American lady in there. And I tell about how we started watching The Secret again and started following the people in the book. Lisa Nichols was one. She's a transformational trainer. After listening to her, I decided to actually enroll in one of her courses. And that brought me to a cohort of beautiful, beautiful people. One of those people was Zara Mahone, who actually lives in Canada. And, it started out virtual, but we had opportunities to come together and actually meet people in person. And that was just beautiful. So Zara was my coach for my TED Talk. It was up in Ontario, Oshawa. And so I started with Harriet to talk about Harriet and what it felt like to be free for the first time. And then I went into talking about my own story of domestic violence that I had experienced with my husband, who we had been together 46 years before this problem arose. And that changed my life. And I dealt with it like too many women do, alone, isolated, not getting the help to get away from that situation. And so in my TED Talk, I start as Harriet, and then I talk about me, and then I have a transition of when I finally heard the voice inside say, get out, and I left. And that is only when I was able to write my second book on self-love, because I realized I was not living self-love if I was living in an abusive situation. And then also wanted me, it made me feel determined to teach girls how to learn to love themselves early on and to know they're worthy, to demand respect, to not let someone harm you and steal your joy and your energy. And that's where the book, the Harriet Tubman Love and Action, I mean, that's where this book came about for girls. So the TED Talk was me sharing that experience and giving just a few little information on how important it is to forgive, how important it is to have that self-love, and how important it is to know that you were worthy to be treated well at all times, and everyone is.
Wow. How incredible is it? One, you got to work with Lisa Nichols. Two,
Yeah,
that you were able to be trained to go out to do your speaking with the TEDx, to actually begin
yeah,
sharing your message and your story with the world at such a great caliber. You know, you were really taking yourself to the next level when you were able to do that. And also being able to empower other women, you know that they are worthy, that they are capable and able. Let's talk a little bit about that. You have, what is it called? United, it's Gigi, United,
Gigi by love.
United by Love.
Gigi by love. Yes. Gigi is often considered a name for grandmothers, but I use it a little differently. I say Gigi United by Love. Gigi is grandmothers and their girls. And that means granddaughters, daughters, nieces, cousins, sisters, girlfriends, because not everyone in my age group is a grandmother, but I want all the women, I'm 72, all the women who are 50 and older to reach out, first find their own self-love, know that they're worthy. And when we do that, when we transform our own lives, people, we impact other people. Our families see us living in more joy and and having fun. There's a commercial I just love. It's been, oh, I think it's an Amazon commercial. Not that I'm selling for Amazon, but I just love it. Just new. It's these grandmas watching, three grandmas on the bench watching kids have fun sliding down the hill. I don't know if you've seen that. And one of them gets the idea, she goes by little pads for them to sit on, and they get on sleds and they're going down the hill and they're having fun, and then they transform into their children, their child look, and it's beautiful. That's what I want us to do, to not let getting older stop us from having fun and joy, and we all still have purpose. There's still a reason we're here. You're here, you have purpose. And it doesn't mean you have to go out and save the world. You have purpose right where you are. And what I've learned is our biggest purpose is to be ourselves. Like you, Darla, I just love your art and how you express yourself. And that's what you're here for. You just looking at what's behind you. And I know the first time we talked, I had to have you explain it to me. And it just so important that we share what's inside of us the way we came to share it. That's what love, that's what God is all about. That's what the self-love is about. God gave us each something, a gift inside for us to share in our own unique way. And so that's what I try to help our grandmothers realize, that they are, if you think about it, who is the most, who has the most wisdom in the world? Who has the most experience? Who has gone through the most, seen happiness and seen sadness and survived? And that is a gift that we have to share. And so that's what I try to do in my podcast. I have a podcast and a newsletter. Podcast launches on Mondays, and it shares stories of women mostly women. I've had my first male on there with his wife, um, basically sharing their stories of what they do. And I always have them connect with Harriet because most people, well, I send them my copy of my book. I said, read the book, find something to hear that speaks to you, and let's share it. And they have no problem doing that. So that's what I do.
You are such an inspirational individual, taking and bringing such education to the world at large, being able to build others up through the knowledge and the information that you've learned from others who have already gone the miles and the distance to give us the actual foundation truth of the journey for those of different ethnics. I actually love the fact that you have truly brought to life someone who really did know and took the steps to make things possible for people today. And I think it's just a beautiful thing that you are doing right now. And I think more people need to hear about what you're doing and why you're doing it and how you're bringing the actions to life again and allowing people to see why self love is the key to all things. When we love ourselves first, the first thing I can say, from my own personal journey, I have been that victim that turned victor of my own story, and I do know what it feels like to be in the desperations of some of the harshest environments of my own walk. So, hearing what you are doing to help other people and bringing the wisdom from your own experiences and having the time that you have invested in coming to the knowledge that you have. One of the biggest things I can say is there is a great honor to be able to speak to someone like yourself. And those who are out there listening, I want you to hear that. There's a great honor in finding those who have already been there, who've already done it, who have found their way through it. Because when you find those people, they're actually the ones holding the keys to your victory. So make sure that you get connected. I want to ask you, can you share a little bit of Harriet Tubman's, personality here for all of us, since we have you here? If you can't, I understand, but if you can, please bring some of that for us to come to
Okay.
life. Oh, I got her
Okay.
stuck in her glasses.
Look at my glasses. What is this? Huh. That's never happened before. Okay. Well, usually I would have a hair wrapped and something. Well, hello there. How you doing, baby? It sure is nice to talk to you. What's your name, baby?
I
What's
am
your name?
Darla. My name is Darla.
Hi, Dollar. It's so nice that you come visit Aunt Harry. Show nothing. Did you come here about the Underground Railroad?
I need
Because
to
if
know
you
a
showed
little
it, if
bit
you
more.
did, you came to the right place. Because I sure enough know something about that. That's right. I sure enough. Did you know I made 13 trips on that Underground Railroad? 13 trips. And my train never jumped the track. I never lost a single passenger. Ain't nobody that traveled up north with me, Harry Tubman, ever got caught and sent back to that slavery. Nobody. Nobody.
What an awesome experience, and being able. So, Harriet, what is it like to know that you have helped so many people?
Well, baby, you know, the Lord always been with me. He was with me every step of the way. And when I got my freedom for the first time, oh, it was so glorious. I had to look at my hands to see if I was still the same person. It felt like I'd gone to heaven. I was free. I was free. I was free. But I was all alone. All my family was still back there in that slavery. And I could hear their moans and groans. And I said, oh, Lord, is you going to be with me? I was going to go back. and get my people and bring them up here where they could be free. So it was my love for my people that I had to go back and bring them free. And Dollar, he ain't just talk about my mama and my brothers and my sisters. I'm talking about all my folks back there. It was my family, my community family. And so I told the Lord, if she been with me, I was going to go back. And so that's what I've been doing all my life. The Lord wanted me to, when I got my people free, then he told me I got to take care of them. So I've been taking care of folks all my life and doing what the Lord told me to do. So I feel good about being able to help folks because that's the Lord's work that he wanted me to do. And I was going to do it. Sure enough is.
Thank you so much, Ms. Carol. What a treat it has been to hear you in character. Oh my gosh, you literally brought me to tears in the moment of I was free, I was free, I was free.
Yeah, that was that.
Those of us who have been through domestic can really relate to those words of I was free. The minute of liberation and what you teach in self-love. I want to bring you back now to the self-love component of what you teach. I know that we're going to get together again, so you don't want to go in too deep because we're going to have a whole nother episode together so that you can talk about more in regards to the coaching and the things that you do. But just for a little snippet, for those who are interested to want to come back, what can you give us, like a little piece? Don't give us the secrets, but give us a little piece so we know what to expect next time when we get to sit with you again.
Well, my books, I don't know who I was reading that made me like the style of writing to include a quote at the beginning of each chapter. And I just happened to open up the notebook to chapter 5. Imagine your freedom. So I'm totally believe that we have to imagine and feel the things that we want to bring into our life before, not wait for it to happen, but feel it. And this quote just happens to be by Mae Jemison, who was the first African American astronaut. Don't let anyone rob you of your imagination, your creativity, or your curiosity. It's your place in the world. It's your life. Go on and do all you can do with it and make it the life you want to live. So I use those quotes from other people as well as Harriet Tubman's stories and then questions that help people think about that in their own lives and take the time to really be with yourself. That's when you can really feel God speaking to you, when you're quiet and ask the questions about yourself to yourself and wait for the answers. So let me just say in this workbook, since I was on this chapter actually was Harriet Tubman's story, was talking about traveling and how she traveled, appreciating nature and life experiences and meeting new people and things like that. And then the questions were, got a little question about Mae Jemison. She was an astronaut, but she had many other titles and careers. And I invite people to investigate that just to learn more about her. And then what are some synonyms for freedom? What does freedom mean to you? And so, things like that. It's nothing comes overnight, right? Darling, you know that. We have to work at it. And so my goal for these books were workshops where we actually work through it. We discuss, we take time to do creative activities, finding your gifts. If it's artistic drawing, right? This painting behind me and the images on the book. My daughter Adia painted those. And I talk about Adia in this book and how I lost Adia to cancer in 2023. But she left her legacy of her art among her son as well as my grandson, my first grandson. But it's just, we all have ways to find your joy in things that you like to do. When she started painting, it was like every day she had a new painting, and it was just her energy was into it, not knowing that she had a couple of years left to live, but she put that energy into it. And then we have this beautiful art to remember her by. And my book launch, I haven't shared this with everybody who's I'm telling about it. It's actually her birthday. And I did that purposely to honor her with her story um, during that time.
What a gift. What a gift that you are receiving as well as giving. You know,
And that's important.
that is
Receiving,
really
giving
important.
is the same thing.
It really is. It really is. And more people need to come to understand that. And that will help the world make a little bit more sense to you if they actually get into that place, right?
Yes,
But
yes,
that is such a gift to have the memories, to have the opportunity, and you are still keeping her forevermore written into a book that keeps her alive forever. What an
yes,
opportunity of life again. You know, when you can share who she was to you and give that gift to others, that is really truly the gift of giving, and which will bring you volumes of things that you will receive. I mean, that in itself, I know that it must be a difficult subject and a situation to bring to the surface. And thank you for sharing something so intimate and so private. And I'm grateful that you felt safe enough to be able to share that with me, and that I was the landing place for that. So thank you for opening that to me and my audience, as well as the ones who are going to be listening, because of who you are, hun. You are an amazing soul, and you have
thank,
experienced a lot of pain. But out of that pain, look at how much you have gained. The gaining of the audience that you have from everything you've done with Harriet Tubman, the ability to actually educate and teach so many people the history that is so rich, that needs to be learned. And the fact that you have such a piece, a memory piece of your own extension, of your own legacy, of your own life, that you're actually giving that ability to your daughter to live forevermore in the pages of something that you have created. For that is such a testament to your endurance and your strength. Your resilience is beautiful, Karol, and I am so grateful to have met you.
thank,
And I know that
thank
we will
you.
be friends for so long. I know that.
Oh, yes,
I have never met
yes.
someone. Yeah, in my last couple, I have to say, in the last couple of years of my life, I have not met so many people. And in the last couple of weeks of my life, I have stumbled upon so many absolutely amazing individuals that are really a true embodiment and reflection of a lot of the things I have been, where I have come from, where I'm going, and being able to see others who are already there and being able to connect with like-minded individuals that do have such an elaborate, way of living, in regards to understanding that the creativity is truly the way of life. To meet up with people like yourself, it has been such a blessing to me. And I just appreciate you, and I'm so honored, hun, that you were on my show and that I can share you out into the world. I do have one question for you. If you could leave the audience with one thing that if tomorrow didn't come and you wanted the audience to know today, that you could leave with them forevermore so that your legacy stands tall, what would you like to share with everyone today?
I like to explain what self love is because people get it confused with selfishness. We grow up to think that getting your hair done, your nails done, and dressing beautifully is self love. You can have the most beautiful person outside, and people admire them, and they can be really not happy inside. Self love is all about tapping into your God given spirit and appreciating who you are, your uniqueness. I study in A Course in Miracles, and in my book, I mentioned a couple of the courses that I just happen to be right now, and they're all about how important it is to be who God made us to be and to appreciate that. So that's what I would say. That is the answer to everyone finding their purpose, their joy, their reason for being here is to know that they are exactly who God intended them to be. They may have made a mistake along the way, forgotten that God loves them, but they can always come back, always come back. And that is the only thing people need to know about life.
Thank you so much, Carol, for today, for every day, and for finding the path to you being exactly who God intended you to be so that you could be a living example for others. I appreciate you. And everybody else out there, thank you for tuning in to Bridging the Gap to Connections. Until next time, bye for now.
Bye bye. Thank you so much, Darla.